saw some statistics that I wanted to share.
Okay.
What's going on in our economy? Generally speaking, the macro economy, we're talking about the United States of America, is doing better.
Mm-hmm.
There are some indicators, right?
Right.
For instance, that first quarter report that was so bad on the GDP, the polar vortex crushed us this first
yes,
quarter, remember?
Yes, I do remember.
Well, they had a loss of about 2.9%, but it's been adjusted to a loss of about 2.1%. But that's better than what we thought. But
Right.
that's largely weather related, we know, from that first quarter. Well, the second quarter numbers were hopeful to see something like 2.8, 2.9, maybe even 3%. Well, the report is out. It's a 4% increase to
Okay.
GDP. So not only wasn't the first quarter as bad as they had thought, but it turns out the second quarter is better than expected.
Good.
And the reports for the next third and fourth are looking at continued growth, probably around 3% for the third and fourth quarter. Well, that's coupled with some other things, like unemployment really is down.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means there's more people back to work. Now, locally in our Metro Detroit area, we've not seen the same recovery in jobs as we've seen nationally. But nonetheless, the unemployment is down, which means employment is up. The short-term rates and long-term interest rates. This is a large. We're talking a lot today about real estate,
Mm-hmm.
and interest rates really matter.
Yes.
And so to see that the long-term rates have slowly begun to creep up over the last few months and so forth, is even this past week there's been a little blip up in the mortgage rates.
Yeah, but when you say, I mean, they're so low that
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, when you speak historically, it's
Mm-hmm.
ridiculously low still.
Right.
But here's the thing: in any given quarter, in any given year, it impacts consumer confidence, and 70+% of our economy is based on that consumer confidence, really.
Yeah.
So the importance of watching, the rates and so forth, but likely, with this good news,
Mm-hmm.
will come a little increase in inflation over the next year or so. The economists that I'm reading say that it's very likely that as soon as next summer, we may see the short-term rates begin to increase, long-term rates even before that, and the result will be very likely a little bit of inflation.
Well, you know what that means.
What does that mean?
Buy now while the rates are low.
Well, actually, it really is true that, if you're thinking, American Dreamer, that maybe, these rates will drop again and I want to catch that deal, the point is it probably won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we're likely to continue to see an increase in prices and an increase in rates. And so the result of, being able to jump in now is a much better opportunity than to wait, say, next summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Metro Detroit-wise, we've seen, some good news too. Speaking real estate in particular, listings are up.
Yeah.
The number of listings are finally up. In fact, the whole year there's been some increase in terms of year over year.
Mm-hmm.
We were seeing results like as low as 16% down year over year in January. Well, 11% down year over year in February is actually an increase from January. You follow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then again, 6.5% down year over year in March is actually an increase from February. And now we've actually seen a big increase in inventory. The result, of course, of which is, and probably the reason for that is that people are finally seeing the values have come up to a place where
Right.
they're no longer underwater. In fact, they have a chance, a snowball's chance of actually walking with money from their sale now.
Yeah.
And people are taking advantage of that.
Right. They're seeing that their neighbors are selling their houses and they're actually, the increased price, and they can actually make money if their desire is to move to a new location.
Well, but ultimately, when those listings increase, of course, what also happens is the increase in price is slow. When there's more supply, the demand will drop off. Because we've seen some ridiculous increases in prices for the last several years.
I think that's a good thing, that it's kind of leveling off a little bit.
Well, ultimately, when you have that volatility that we've been seeing, it's tough on an economy. It might make a good opportunity for any one family or individual, but it's tough on the overall economy. So ultimately, there's good news going on in our economy, both nationally and here in Metro Detroit. And it's having a positive impact in the real estate market. So those of you who are listening, you might be thinking about, boy, maybe it's time for me to get involved in purchasing a home or getting my home on the market and take advantage of what's going on in the markets. And we recommend you take a look at that. You can always contact us at mirealtalk.com. That's michiganrealtalk.com. Or check out the Facebook page to keep up with this information, Michigan Real Talk Facebook page. Like that page, and you'll be able to get lots of great information coming down the pike about these topics in terms of your American dream and how to see it fulfilled. But listen, because many people are thinking about looking at homes now, maybe for the first time in years,